Hello, hello, hello. I missed you guys this morning. There's a spider on my window. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to panic. I'm going to let him live. I'm going to let him live. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Um, I missed you guys this morning. You guys know it was my boo boo baby's preschool graduation. She was so cute. I was so proud of her. She was so tired because she ran herself ragged yesterday at my oldest daughter's prom send off. So she was kind of tired, but she did amazing and she's off to kindergarten and I cannot believe it. I can't believe it. So I missed you guys this morning, but I'm here now. Might not come when you want them, but I'm always on time. Good morning out. I mean, after it's evening. I was gonna say good afternoon, but it is evening. Hi, Crystal. Hi, Alex. Hi, True Crime Fan Girl. Hi, Quizzical Girl. I love that you're always here. You know I got a lot to say. You know I got a lot to say. And I wanted to say it this morning, but I had to get that little. She was not happy this morning, but she got it together for her graduation. How are we feeling? The defense case has begun. How are we feeling? We didn't even talk about the other day. I will say that yesterday, Alessi was better. Still not great. How do I sound? You guys know I don't want that weird noise. How do I sound? Do I need to put in my mic? I don't really feel like it, but I feel like, how's the sound? Alessi was better. Still not great. But I'm hoping it doesn't matter. I'm hoping it doesn't matter, and here's why. Because sometimes I'm not sure, and it's hard to do, right? Because I have an opinion. It's not easy for me to put my opinion to the side, and so it's hard for me to dissect whether or not these witnesses are getting on my nerves because they're getting on my nerves, or are they getting on my nerves because I have an opinion and what they're saying is get on my nerves. So I can't tell how the jury feels about him because I don't think Alessi did great. I want Alessi to learn how to pivot when a witness is not going your way. I feel like he learned from his mistakes a little bit from the day before. He was a little bit more forceful in saying, sir, answer my questions. But he still let him continue on for a little bit too long. And I didn't understand why are we, listen, he's not going to give you what you're looking for. So just stop. Once you ask a question and you see that he's not going to give you what you're looking for, just stop. But he was better. He was better. But I'm wondering how the jury feels about him. Because he got on my ever loving nerves. I can't stand him. I can't stand him. But I can't tell if I can't stand him because of how I feel about this case in general, or is he just a non-likable person? And I'm hoping he's just not a likable person, because when you are, Alessi couldn't keep control of him because Alessi's just too nice. He's just too nice, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it like it's bad. Alessi's too nice. So this witness was an asshole. He's just an asshole. So he can't help but run over somebody who's too nice. And I'm wondering if the jury picked up on that. And if they didn't pick up on it yesterday, I wonder if they compare and contrast the experts, meaning the expert today and then the expert Walter. This expert, very clear, very direct, Yes, no. If you give me different information, the information that I give you will change. That's very like that. That's how I expect witnesses who have no dog in the fight to answer questions. Because listen, we're all jurors. We could all get called for jury duty at any time. How do you guys feel about witnesses? I feel like if you're the accused, or if you're a friend of the victim, or if you're a friend of the accused, I expect you to be combative when the other side is questioning you, right? I expect that. Like, I expect you to not want them to put words in your mouth or make people think something else. I expect that from those kind of witnesses. But witnesses who claim to have no dog in the fight, when you're combative with one side or the other, it makes me annoyed with you. Because why? It makes me feel like, why do you care how your answer comes across if you're just here to answer questions? So I'm wondering if the jury felt that way with, what's his name, Welcher, and then seeing this expert today and seeing like, well, yeah, he seems like he's answering questions clearly. He doesn't seem like he's hiding anything. He seems like he'll answer who's ever questioning him. His demeanor doesn't change. He was annoyed, Elizabeth, and I would get annoyed too, because Alessi, I'm telling y'all, not Alessi. I'm talking about the witness today. What's his name? I don't know. Starts with a D. Everybody says it differently. That's why I can't remember it. He was annoyed with Brennan today too. I could tell him like rolling his eyes, because Brennan is a master gaslighter. Brennan is a master gaslighter. How are you asking this man what would happen if the information on the chart is wrong? The Sorga. How are you asking him what will happen if this information is wrong, when it's your expert's information? But do you see how he answered the question? He said, well, if the information is wrong, the outcome changes. And that's a very clear response. That's very clear. I feel like had you answered that question to Welcher, he would have said, well, the information's not wrong, so I can't answer your question. The information's not wrong. But if you're just doing a job, that's how you answer that question. If the information is wrong, my outcome changes. That's just common sense. I wonder if the jury compares and contrasts how these two experts answer questions. And I'm wondering if they prefer one of the other. Because personally, like I said, if you're not this is why Jen McCabe, this is why Brian Albert, this is why Brian Higgins, this is why all those people got on my nerves when I was watching this case the first time, because I did not understand. You want us to believe that you just happen to have your friend appear in the snow. Why are you so combative with this defense? Why won't you just answer questions? Why are you hiding your phones and deleting text messages, and what's going on? Like, you just found your friend in the snow. Why are you? That's why I cannot stand witnesses who are supposed to have no dog in this fight. They don't care one way or the other, and they're combative questioning. But it kind of makes the other person, but Alessi, I'm wondering if it was all a strategy. I wonder if he got out what he could get out, and he didn't care about the rest, because you look like an asshole being an asshole to a nice person. Right? Because the same way that I feel like Brennan looked like an asshole today, fighting this expert and being rude and having little snarky remarks to this expert who's not fighting you. He's not going back and forth with you. Why are you... What's with the snark? What's with the comments? You're asking me a question and I'm trying to answer you. Your questions aren't clear purposefully, because, the goal is confusion. Then Why are you being such an asshole? But Brennan is a master gaslighter, because why are you up there trying to insinuate that the information is wrong? This expert didn't even question the your expert's information. He's saying, look, I used the information. I took it as what they said it was. Why would you debate him on that? Wouldn't that be helpful to you? Why would you go back and forth with this man about the evidence? Brandon, he just really, really grinds my gears. And so does Judge Canoni, because I do not understand why they were not able to question them about Trooper Paul's report. Every time I try to say, maybe I feel like they want Karen in prison. And that's just the bottom line. The Hall of Massachusetts wants Karen in prison. I cannot find the legal rationale for why they wouldn't at least be able to question him about why he did not factor in Trooper Paul's report. It's very obvious that he used it. I don't get it. So I don't ask. You got to go talk to a smarter lawyer than me. I have no idea. I have been racking my brain trying to figure out that ruling, and nothing makes sense besides bias. Nothing makes sense besides bias. I'm sorry. He obviously read the report, used the report, took things from the report that he used as starting points or ending points or whatever. Smarter lawyer than me gonna have to tell you why she denied that ruling. And it feels like she knew she was gonna deny it. She would piss me off. I'm telling y'all, this is why I can't do it. This is why I can't do it. You made me leave today, come back on a whole nother day with a whole new argument, and you knew the whole time you were gonna deny it. She knew. She knew. Why waste my time? I feel like, for what it's worth and for what they've spent, over $300,000 on just that expert, ain't no telling what they paid the brain surgeon. Okay. They bought a Lexus in Texas. For what they have spent on this case, I think I have to get mine, y'all. Let's do 24 hours. I think the fix is in. And that's very sad for me to say. I'm really sad to say that. I feel like the Hall of Massachusetts wants Karen in prison one way or another. One way or another. Her denying the motion to dismiss, that's par for the course. But if that is Jackson's closing argument, I don't see how you find her guilty. I don't see how you find her guilty, because again, even your experts say we don't have proof of a collision. If that was part of it, I'm sure he didn't give it all away because he doesn't want to give Brennan anything to work with. But I don't see how you find her guilty. But I feel like the fix is in. I feel like, and whatever she's going to rule tomorrow on this Proctor friend chat, I'm not understanding that either. I'm not understanding that either, because you let Proctor's chat come in through Buchanan, who was on the text messages, and he said he didn't even read it. He just acknowledged it. He didn't even know what it said. So it would be very strange for you to deny these text messages because he doesn't remember them. Yeah, he don't remember them. They were 2 years ago, but he knows he sent them. He knows he's in them. And I don't know. I don't know the rationale behind not calling Proctor. That one is perplexing me. Oh my gosh. Um, that one is, and the thing is, Emma, he does remember those text messages. That these particular text messages, you fucking remember, but these particular text messages you remember. But we're gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. Um, but I don't know the rationale behind not calling Proctor, except them not wanting to give Brennan the opportunity to lead in his questioning. But it still doesn't matter to me. I feel like even if Brennan gave him a script, I don't think it would matter. I don't think it would matter, because nobody expects Proctor to come in there and say, yes, I was terrible. I did my job terrible. I planted glass on the bumper and I did nothing correctly. Like, nobody expects him to say that. So I don't see the harm in calling Proctor. I don't get it. I don't get the strategy of not calling Proctor. I think because my original thought maybe a week or so ago was, you don't call Proctor, you argue in closing, look, they hid him from you. But then Brennan gets up there and say, well, they could have called him too. And they didn't. And once they know that, it's like, okay, well, you can't even use that as an argument anymore. I don't know the rationale behind not calling Proctor, and I would really love to be a fly on the wall in that conversation. And the thing is, I will call Proctor and call his friends, because you remember last year Proctor acted like he did. Well, I don't know what he meant by that. I don't know what that was talking about. I don't know who that was. I don't know who said that. I will call Proctor and all his friends and ask them what were you thinking? Why did you write that? I don't know. I don't know the rationale behind calling Proctor, but it looks like they're not going to. But I don't think Brennan will. I think Brennan keeps Proctor away from this case with a 10-foot pole. I don't think you're going to bully Brennan into calling Proctor. But to have the jury not see him at all, and not see him on the stand, and not ask him, where are you currently employed? Why were you fired? Oh, you don't know? Let's bring out the report, shall we? Were you the lead investigator on this case? Make Buchanan look like a liar. Make Buchanan look like he was trying to hide that he was the lead investigator. Oh, okay, you were the lead investigator on this case. Did you show bias? Oh, really? Because this report says you did. Like, I don't see. And again, this is not what I do, so maybe I'm just missing something. But I don't have the rationale for why you don't call Trooper Michael. And I'm racking my brain. I'm really thinking, and I don't understand why you do that. I don't understand why you would ever do that. I think Michael Proctor can only enhance your case for why nobody else was investigated, why nothing else was looked at. It can only enhance you saying to the jury, we don't know what happened, and you don't know what happened, because Michael Proctor ensured that nobody else was investigated. I don't know. I don't think he can plead the fifth on every question, because he answered them before. And if he pleads the fifth on every question, I feel like Bev would have an easier time ruling that the friend and their messages can come in, because he can't get them in out of Proctor. So I don't know, y'all. That's one I cannot wrap my head around. It does nothing but benefit you. And Yannetti said today, like, you're not gonna make us call him so he can lead him through whatever he wants to say. But it's just like, so what? So what? How? The thing is, how can Brennan lead him through anything? Brennan will look like a hypocrite to lead him through anything because he's not the one who called him. I don't know. I don't know. That seems asinine to me. But, you know, they are way smarter than me. They have way more experience than me. I'm sure they have a strategy. I'm sure they know what they're doing. But if I'm on trial for my life, baby, you throw everything at the wall. You throw everything at the wall. I mean, you better shoot every bullet in your... Listen, don't play with me. I want you to throw... If my life is on the line, I'm calling all of them. I'm calling all of them. Albert Higgins, OCD, Julie, like, I'm calling everybody if it's my life. So I just don't see the logic behind not calling Proctor, but smarter minds than me have made a decision, it feels like. I don't know if they'll give a guilty verdict, but what bothers me about it is I wonder, because I think sometimes I'm clouded by what I already know, and I forget that the jury doesn't know what I know. And so sometimes it's hard for me to conceptualize some things. But if I try to step outside of it, I wonder if the jury really understands why he was fired. I know that Jackson told him in the beginning he was fired for things he did on this case, but then they only heard 2 text messages from him. And some people might not even think that was that bad. Some people on the jury might not even think that was that bad. If you know any cop, you know they talk crazy. They talk crazy. So that might not even be that bad to them. Like, I don't understand not giving them the full breadth of Proctor and making him explain some things that we've heard this time around. Again, we need him to explain. We have at least 2 people saying things in their police report they did not say. You wrote it down, though. So who's wrong, you or them? Did you make that up? Or did they make it up? Did they actually say it? And you're just even more sloppy than we give you credit for? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't understand it when you're on trial for your life. I think they, and I hope not, because I think Karen did that last interview because she was comfortable and she thought that she was winning. She thought that she was going to win. And by the time that interview came out, she thought she would have been acquitted. And then she wasn't. And I hope that's not the case. I hope it's not the case that they're comfortable. Because you never know. You never know. I feel like if he was dodging a subpoena, Jackson would have said that in court. We're trying to call him. We can't find him. If I want to try for my life, I'm calling Trooper Paul. I'm calling Trooper Proctor. I'm calling Brian. I mean, it's my life. It's my life. Throw everything at these people. But for sure, Proctor. And I just don't get it. And it's bothering me so much that I don't understand. I hate not understanding things. I hate not understanding. And I hate when I can't even rationalize it to myself. Because I'm one of those people, and everybody around me hate it. Everybody around me hates it. That I'm always like, well, I can see the other side. They hate it. They hate that about me. But I can't see the other side of this. I can't see the other side of why you wouldn't call Proctor, and it's bothering me. Like, it's feel like it's messing with my psyche. I don't get it. I don't get what they think the downfall is. Because I don't see one. I don't see one. Maybe the defense doesn't want Brennan to know in advance. He'll know. They have to tell them who's coming next. He'll know at least a day, because he'll be in the courthouse waiting to be called. I don't know. I don't know. It's bothering me, guys. It's bothering me. But anyway, prosecution closed with that terrible clip. Now, some of y'all get mad at me. But we got to call the balls and we got to call the strikes. I've always said that I hated that Karen did those interviews, and I don't understand. Why you would ever say that in front of a camera. Who's the troll? Tell me who they are and I'll block them. I don't understand why you would ever be in front of a camera saying, did I clip him in some way? Did I hit him in some? Why are you saying that? If there was ever one part of Karen's case that's always bothered me, it's that part. It's that part. Why are you even questioning whether you hit him or not? Why is that? I just don't feel like I would ever think that. But then again, Jen McCabe seems like an amazing gaslighter. And we all know that one woman that gets in people's heads sometimes. Okay, next time he comes up, I'll block him. That gets in people's heads sometimes and makes them, and like, clearly she's in, what's her face's head? So maybe she, see, you would think that, really, therapist, you know, you would think you did something. Okay. I don't know that I would think I did something. But I never think I'm the problem. So, you know, that could be a personality thing. I'm never the problem. So I don't know that I would think I hit him. And even if I did, I don't think I would say, see, that's the thing. I don't think I would say it out loud. I don't think I would say it out loud, and I definitely wouldn't say it to a camera crew. That's the thing. Even if in my head I'll be like, damn, did I hit him? Did I like hit his knee? I wouldn't say that to anybody. I wouldn't say that to anybody, because here's my thing with Karen. I think even she can be convinced. I think she can be convinced that she hit John. Her problem is, it's like my problem. She's damn sure for sure she didn't hit him and kill him. And that's her problem. Her problem is, I was drunk. Now, I don't know what I could have did that night, but she, in her mind, I feel like she's like this. I could have, did I like nick him? Did I come too close to the curb? But then she sobers up and she goes, even if I did, I know good and goddamn well I didn't hit nothing hard enough to break my taillight like that and leave him there in the snow. That's her problem, which I understand, but I just don't understand saying it to a camera crew. Because I think if the jury believes anything, they believe her talking. And if any one of them is like me, that may be the tipping point. If any of them are like me, where they think, I just want to know why she thought she hit him. Why would she think that? Then that could be the tipping point. And you know what? That is unforced error. There's a crazy cat in my yard. That's an unforced error. It's like meowing. What's wrong? That's an unforced error. You did not have to do that. You didn't have to say anything to anybody. And you definitely didn't have to say that. Even if I was thinking that in my head, I'd be on camera like, I know I ain't hit him. I don't know what they talking about. I know I got up out of there because I was mad. And exactly, said the quiet part out loud. Like, even if I was thinking that, I don't know that I say that in front of a camera. Because, y'all, I don't believe she said I hit him that night. And I don't believe it because I don't believe either of the witnesses that said it. I don't believe you. Your credibility has been shot. I don't believe you when you say where she said it, how she said it, how many times she said it. I don't believe any of y'all. But I can see them saying to her that she said it. She was drunk. Listen, the one thing they have proven is that she was drunk. But everybody was drunk. But everybody's not on trial. She is. So they have proven she was drunk. If everybody's telling you said something when you drunk, you have no reason to not believe them. You ever just been so drunk and I was like, girl, you was tripping last night. You said, and you be like, girl, I mean, I ain't gonna call you no liar, but I don't remember that. I ain't gonna call you no liar, but that don't sound like nothing I would say. But of course it's not anything you would say because it's not you. It's drunk you. I just don't know why she did the interviews. I think she thought she was going to win because I'm still very confused on how she lost. I understand. She didn't lose. She got a hung jury. But I understand. I 100% understand her being confused that she didn't win because you had all of that and this is the outcome. Okay. But that's why we have to step outside sometimes of what we know, and we have to think about what the jury knows and how they are interpreting this information. Last jury didn't have the clips. Maybe if the last jury had the clips, they don't hang. Maybe if the last jury had the clips, they don't hang. That's what people keep saying Aunt BB2 is that she just wanted to get her story out there, and I understand that. If anybody understands, it's me, because I told you I'd already been in there bound and gagged with tape over my mouth in a separate courtroom, having to be zoomed in and muted because I would not be able to take people lying on me. So I get that. I get that. But not when, obviously, the state is against you. The judge is against you. The defense attorney is against you. The DA is against you. The police are against you. Sometimes you just have to swallow it. Sometimes you just have to swallow it. She needed to fundraise, and I get that too. Let your lawyers do it. Get a mouthpiece. Don't be the one to speak. Let your lawyers do it. Or if you, listen, I have a problem with her speaking. Yes, I do. I was about to say I don't. But no, I do have a problem with her speaking. But you choose your words very carefully. And sitting there contemplating whether or not you hit him is just not a smart thing to do. It's just not a smart thing to do. And I don't understand why her lawyers let her. And people say that they're smart, they knew what she was going to say. I feel like she got in there talking, and afterwards they may have said, like, that probably wasn't the best thing to say. But if you're going to give interviews, you choose your words very carefully. Very carefully. And you don't sit up there and say, did I clip him in some way? He wasn't mortally wounded. And you definitely don't say he was right where I expected to find him. And saying do I have culpability in that? Why are you ever talking about what you asked your lawyer? Why would you ever? What? Yeah, it's just, I don't mind. I keep saying it. If you're going to talk about a case where you're on trial for your life, I mean, you speak very clearly. You take a beat before you answer a question. Somebody asks you a question and you sit there and take a minute and you let me think about that. I'm finding it. Like, it seems like and interviewers will get you like that, right? They're very personable, they're very comfortable, we're just having a conversation. So I get where you can get lost and forget that you're doing a whole TV interview and just start talking. But I think everything else is fine. Everything else is fine. Everything else you can explain away. Everything else you can talk about. Her questioning, could I have hit him in some way? Could I have clipped him? Like, I just think that was unnecessary. Why are you talking to them about it? They don't care. I don't like that. I think Bev has a relationship with all of them. I don't know what Bev's personal relationship is to this people, but she is very obviously a biased judge. A lot of things that she has ruled on is in her discretion, and her discretion always leans heavily towards the prosecution. I feel like she only rules for the defense when she absolutely has to by law. If anything is in her discretion, she's going to go with the prosecution, and that's very annoying. How are those snippets okay with the rule of completion? Because they're a complete thought. Complete doesn't mean you have to play the whole interview. You just have to complete the thought. Yeah, I know, and I don't think she's guilty. I agree with you. I think, like Jackson, I think Brennan tried to use the voicemails as an admission of guilt. To me, that's the most relevant evidence that she had no, and she did not think she hit him because she didn't hit him. Like, those voicemails to me are the most evidence of her innocence. I don't think it's an admission of guilt, but you and I think that way. But the Karen Reed is guilty people think it is. And that's the problem. Everybody doesn't see it the way we see it. I don't think a guilty person would be doing interviews. Or they would be doing them very different. Do you remember when Jodi Arias was doing interviews? She looked guilty as hell. And that was at the time when she was trying to tell us that there was armed intruders and blah, blah, blah. But she looked, something about the way she was speaking, something about the things she was doing. She looked, girl, you did it. Girl, you did it. I personally don't think the clips or the interview, I haven't watched the full interviews, I will. I don't think the interviews make her look guilty. But some people do. And that's the problem. There are people who do. There are people who twist themselves in knots to ignore all the evidence that tends to prove that she did not hit him because of her own words. And that did not have to happen. Didn't have to happen. They didn't have to have them. I think without the clips, I don't know. I was gonna say, without the clips, do they retry this case? That's a question. Now that's a question. If they did not have her interviews, do they retry this case? Now that's a question. I don't know. I don't know. I feel it may be another hung jury. I tend to agree, and I usually don't. Hung juries are not common, you guys. It's very rare to have a hung jury, but I tend to agree. I tend to agree, and it's because there are some people who have. There, I think it's hung jury not because they've proven anything. I think a hung jury because there are people who are on that jury who are going to be like, absolutely not, absolutely not, and then there will be people who believe she's here, she's the one who was arrested. There were taillight pieces. He was there. It had to be her with, and not consider any other information. And then there were people who will be on the jury who actually understand what their duty, who cannot be convinced still guilty because they understand their duty to find her guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And all the Commonwealth witnesses have given them a doubt. They will understand their jury instruction. If there's two ways to look at this, you look at it in the light most favorable to the defendant. Some people will understand that, and some people you just cannot. She was there, he was there, there were taillight pieces, and must have been her. That's the only reason I think there will be a hung jury. And because there should be. I mean, first of all, she should be found not guilty. But hung is what I can get behind. If she's found guilty, these jurors did not understand their job. Because listen, as someone who can always see the other side, tells you people hate that about me. They hate that I'm always like, well, I can see it. Okay, but you gotta look at her like they can't. They, people be wanting you to be on their side 100% when they tell you a story. And I just sometimes can, in my brain works and moves so fast, I can always see the other side of the argument. Here's the thing. Even right now today, no, I don't think so. That's probably a lie. But I'll say if, because I don't think you can. If you could convince me that Karen actually hit John, if you could convince me of that, you still would not be able to convince me that the Commonwealth proved she hit John beyond a reasonable doubt. Those are two different things. And anybody who knows what reasonable doubt is, who really understands what reasonable doubt means beyond each and every reasonable doubt, to someone who knows what that means, you cannot get over that burden with the case of the Commonwealth. You just cannot. You just cannot. And that is usually my argument with Karen Reed is guilty people. I go, okay, I'm not about to argue that with you. Okay, I see things differently. But okay. You think Karen Reed is guilty. Okay. Awesome. Amazing. The Commonwealth has not proven that she's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And that you will not convince me of. You just will not convince me of that. And so if she gets a guilty verdict, it's because these jurors, number one, does not understand their job. And number two, they already thought she was guilty. They thought she was guilty way before we got to the defense case. But juries aren't dumb, KKB. Juries aren't dumb. They're you and me. They're us. They're us. I will say that sometimes people get on the jury and tend to overthink things they would not overthink in their real life. And I think that's up to the lawyers in closing to let them know, look, don't throw out your common sense. Don't overthink things you wouldn't necessarily overthink. Think like you would think. Don't try to be all extra sleuthy and extra smart and, try to bring up scenarios that don't exist. That's not what you're here to do. You're here to look at what they gave you. If you ever have to go back into that jury room and say, well, she could have, that's reasonable doubt. Right there. That's reasonable doubt. If you ever have to add a piece to the story to make it fit, that's reasonable doubt, because they haven't proven that to you. If you ever have to get in that jury room and say, well, she might have could have did it if she would have, that's reasonable doubt. Period. That's reasonable doubt. And it's up to the defense attorneys to hammer that home. And it's usually up to the judge reading the instructions to make sure they understand. But we don't put nothing. We're not even going to give Judge Canon that, because she's not. She's going to read through it really fast. And I heard last time they wouldn't even allow them to ask questions. So she doesn't care if they understand or not. Yes, the last jury absolutely did, and nobody told them they're not supposed to. And that's the thing. If you can throw out whoever testimony you want, whoever you find incredible, uncredible, you just didn't understand, you just don't want to listen to them, you just didn't like their voice. As a jury, you have every right to just disregard them completely. But if you go back there, and in order to make this story work, you have to add in a fact of your own. You got to go back there and say, well, if she did, that you didn't hear somebody on the stand definitively say she did, that's reasonable doubt. And that's all there is to it. And that's why if you could convince me she hit him, you can never convince me that they have proven it beyond a reasonable doubt. And we just got to hope the jury understands how high that burden is, because that's the problem too. I won't say juries are dumb. I feel like sometimes they forget they don't understand how high that burden is. It's a very high burden. In this case has not gotten over the burden at all. At all. So nobody in the Commonwealth's case has even told them that a collision happened. Nobody has told them that. They told them there was broken taillight. But what they also told them is that there were broken glass. Nobody has said whether or not they was arguing, because everybody said they was arguing. Who's to say John didn't throw the glass into her light? We don't know. We don't know. What we do know is that a medical examiner told us there's no impact site. These are not injuries we would see in a motor vehicle accident. It's okay. I might have to get off and call you back. So yeah, we'll see what the defense does, but not calling Proctor, I think, is a mistake. Not calling Proctor, I think, is a mistake, and I hate that for her. I hate that for them, and I hate not understanding the reasoning. So if somebody knows, if somebody in the chat right now has a good explanation for why y'all think they're not calling Proctor, please tell me. Because I don't know, and it's bothering me. It's bothering me. Word on the street is he's MIA. They'll find him. That can't be it. If they need him, they gonna find him. Trust. If Proctor is on cross, Hank can say anything he wants and just add correct. Yes, that's true to a certain extent. However, it comes off as disingenuous because you didn't call him. So I don't think that hurts them either. It comes off as disingenuous because you didn't call him. So whatever you're about to get up there and say correct to, you can't come off with this moral, this indignation like he wasn't even an issue because you didn't call him. So I don't even think that will hurt him. I don't even think that can hurt him. I don't know. I don't have a good reason. What do y'all think? They aren't restricted in the types. They are restricted in the way they can ask the question. But I'm sure they'll figure it out. He's appealing his firing. So he was still fired. I don't see what he would plead the fifth on. So far, he hasn't done anything illegal. I mean, I guess he can plead the fifth on whether he planted evidence, but I think he'll just say no. I don't think anybody has proof that he planted evidence. Besides, we don't know where that glass came from. Maybe he'll plead the fifth to that question. But if he's appealing his firing, he's just going to say no. He can't appeal his firing and then plead the fifth because it feels like, what are you about to say that's going to incriminate you, sir? I don't know. I don't know. It's ill. It's bothering. I cannot stand not understanding. I can't stand not understanding. Yeah, it's a lot of this is why I use this is why I usually use StreamYard, because they're better at controlling all of the trolls. When you go live straight from YouTube, it kind of allows them in there, and it gets annoying. But I'm on YouTube right now, so I gotta just block them myself. But I don't know the logic, you guys, and it's irking my nerves. Because are you gonna just call this one friend? The one friend they put up today only had one message at the end. Where's the other ones? Where are other people? But of course he's gonna say that. Of course he's gonna say that, quizzical girl. But that still doesn't hurt them because that's not true. You were fired. I know you want to think it's good, but your organization didn't think it was good, did they? They fired you for it. I don't think you get sympathetic from him. After you read those text messages, I don't think you get sympathetic. And if any of the jurors are sympathetic to Proctor, they already thought she was guilty, so it's not going to do anything. If a juror is sympathetic to Proctor, they were already on the guilty side. So okay. He could perjure himself, and that would be great for the defense. Hi, Melonis Law. Thank you. Thank you, therapist. You know, me too. I'm trying to block. I'm about to get off of here anyway. Like I said, I usually am on StreamYard, but YouTube lets them all in. Proctor testified last time, and she wasn't acquitted. But he wasn't fired either. He wasn't fired either. Hi, thank you, Kyoka, is that how I say it? Kyoka. He wasn't fired, but he wasn't fired either. So he could say that. He could say that the investigation wasn't as bad, wasn't that bad. He could say I wasn't biased. He could say, I'm just talking to my friends, but he's fired now. So it's proven that he was actually biased. Oh, it was beautiful, Jane. Her prom was amazing. I was so happy for her. It was great. It was yesterday. She looked beautiful. Um, she looks beautiful. If she allows me, I'll post a picture, but I'm sure she won't. She's like, but she looked beautiful. I was so happy. Um, Proctor and Hank both have nothing to lose, so that makes them dangerous. I think Proctor being fired is enough to not do any damage to the defense. You were fired. I don't care what you say. Of course, you're going to get up here and try to make excuses for why you were fired, but at the end of the day, you were fired. I don't care what you say. And again, I need to know, we're like, Proctor had videos hidden for months. I want to ask him about that. Why you didn't give us those videos? Where were they? Hiding under your seat? I need to know about that. I want to ask him about that. I want to go through this firing report line by line. Line by line. Then I want to talk about these reports that you wrote that people said it's green. It's a green skim stress. I just don't see the harm in it, because they know he was fired, so they know he's going to come up there and say, oh, I did everything great. I was amazing. I don't know why I was fired, but you were. But you were. Days, Emma, you hear me? Days, a week, if you will. He'd be up there till his butt hurt. He'd have to stand up. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. He could turn around like he has an axe to grind. With who? Nobody would believe him. First you had an axe to grind with Karen, now you got an axe to grind with the police. Every scenario you could give me for why they won't call Proctor still doesn't do that much to the defense, where I feel like you don't call him. Buchanan was so bad they don't need Proctor at all. Now that may be. But there's too much from Proctor specifically that we need this jury to know. And if Bev gets up there tomorrow and says that this guy can't come in with these text messages, number one, we confirm our bias of her, but we also have to call Proctor. Yeah, Hank is a blatant liar and a master gaslighter, so I'm sure he'll try, but it comes off, but it'll come off staged and a lie, because if you felt like all of this, you would have called him. So it's like, I want him to flip too, Brock. I want him to flip. I want him to come out there and be like, you know what? Since y'all want to fire a fella, since y'all want to fire me, my guy, let me tell you what was really going on. But he wouldn't do that. But I want him to real bad. Since I'm fired, can't get my job back. I mean, we might as well go for the gusto. But he won't. But wouldn't it be amazing if he did? Oh, it'd be amazing. Anyways, let me get out of here, because I know y'all tired of fighting these bots. I'm going to be back on StreamYard tomorrow. I was just in the car and didn't feel like going in the house to get my computer. But I appreciate you guys. We will be back on Monday. We'll see. Did Bev say she was going to have a reading at 4:30? Did she? I'm going to look for it and see if she did. All right, guys. Y'all have a good night. Happy Friday. Go out, have fun, have a drink for me. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.